Hello all, welcome back to Learning Partner. If you are new, please do subscribe. This is another channel where you can directly connect with me. We have around 1000 plus members already who are working. We take live coding sessions and everything. To just get notified about those sessions, please do join this group and check out this website also where you can find so many project ideas with live version, proper flow, diagram and APIs and documentation and all. Now let's start with the video. So these are the things which I point out, like we can discuss, and with these points, I think you should be in a proper position or some of the doubts you might have might get clear. Okay, so let's start. One more application I will need just for the API call. Let me just open the recent one. So first I will explain like how do we deal with API integration whenever we are integrating API. In the network tab, sometimes API team asks us like check the headers, what headers you are getting and what object we are sending. That thing we need to check. So I will just go through that first. Yeah, train booking. Let's use this. Auto 03. Okay. So this is the same means whatever the interview question you can see over here. Na, this is kind of a front end website part, right? But how these questions are getting created? So I have created another application. So from here, I insert those questions, whatever the question and the topic you see, those comes from over here. So now, first, like very basic, like Gate API. So when we see developer console is very important for us because we are a developer and this is only for us. This is not for the actual end user, correct? So we should be aware like what things we should be able to take out from here. Okay. So when we talk about network tab, so first thing here you can see no one drop down is there. So this is like, let's say some applications are built like you need to test in a slower and slower speed. Let's say you are trying to show a loader, okay, in the table. Once if API call is in progress, till that you need to show the loader, right? But in the actual APIs are fast, so you get the response and that loader is not visible. So to test your application on the means what we can say lower speed, so here you can slow the speed also. Okay, now if I refresh, or let's go to another page, new question. Now just pay attention over here. If I click on question list, see, very quickly I got the response and that response is also visible. Okay, now I'm clearing it. Again, I go to new question. Now if I change to slow 3G and if I change the page, so now you can see it is pending, right? So it took some time to load because we have set the speed of the, even though we have a proper speed, but for browser specific, we can reduce the speed also. Okay, so this kind of we need when we are doing the testing. When we work normally, so let's say you are working on an actual project, you API team might provide you the dev environment or the UAT environment or any environment. Obviously, environment servers are very fast, servers are good. Nowadays, all are like cloud servers, so they will provide a proper speed for the API perceptive. So you won't get that issue. But you need to test your application with low speed also, low internet speed also, because end user might not have the proper speed. So you need to be, because the code we write, assuming like you will get the response and based on that response, you will find something and do some operation, right? So in that scenario also, when you are actually providing the build. Let's say you started a new project and first version got completed, and first time you are going to give the build on the SIT environment for client testing. So before handovering the application, you need to make sure that application is working properly with low speed also, low internet speed also, right? So for this network tab is useful. Okay. So now I'm just, and here you can create your custom profiles also. Okay. Add custom profile, download speed. Let's say you need to, because these are like very application specific things are there. Let's say your application is going to be used in a rural area, and there you don't have any, you are not sure like you are going to have a 3G speed, 4G speed or not. So you need to test your application according to their conditions, right? So you can create a custom profile also with the custom download and upload speed, and you can test your application. Okay. So from here you can do that. So let's go to no throttling. So this is like the original mode. Now here you can see various filters are there. So first is like if you click on all, okay, now I'm going to reload the page. So now here you can see all is selected. So all means whatever the content you are fetching from the server, that will be visible over here, including your HTML page, CSS, images, JavaScript, whatever content you are going to use in this particular application, that will be loaded, and all you can see in the all. But if you need to filter it out, let's say you need to check just the API call. So API call will come in the fetch. Why fetch? Because browser understand the JavaScript, and in JavaScript, how do we make the API call? By using the fetch API. So that's why here you can see fetch is there. So if you click over here, you can just filter it out. Okay. If you click on doc, you will get the HTML page, CSS, all the CSS loaded, JS, font, image, if there is any, like this. So we normally, as a front-end developer, whenever we are integrating API, this should be our selected, because API call is what we should be focusing. Okay. Now, sometimes now you might see one external bar over here. So here you have the setting icon. So if you by default in your application, in your browser also, this overview might be checked. So you might be getting this kind of what we can say, which resource take how much speed to download and everything, right? So normally it is not for us. If your application is like that, you need to because see, whenever let's say customer list API is there, and in customer list you are going to get so many record, and you are going to have pagination also, but still you need to identify like which API is taking how much time to get the data from the server on different data environment. Because nowadays we have a DevOps team which who take care of the environment setting and everything, a server setting they take care. But we need to provide the details like this API is taking which how much time to load on the server, right? So for that we make use of this thing. Okay, so if you are not using it, you can just unselect it so that you will have a whole screen available to you. Now on the page load of this component, I'm creating two API call. So this is the API call. So many guys also, those who face the issue, they share me the network tab and something. They will try to click over here and they will say nothing happening. You need to click on this name, then your side panel will open. Okay. You need to click on the name of the API here. So then your side panel will open with that particular properties. So now over here, you can zoom this also. Okay. So just press the control and use the mouse wheel button. Okay. Now here you can see we have three sections: general, response header, request header. Okay. So in general is like the general information, like what is the API URL, its method, and what the status code you have got. Means like what is the API response you have got from the API, 200, 404, 500, whatever. So that you will get it from over here. And the remote address. So this remote address is nothing but, see, every server is connected with an IP, right? So jirasim.in, this is the server which I have purchased, but this is connected with this IP. And this my application, okay, that domain and everything what we, I think I have taken some session previously where I have explained like how domain and IP get connected. So it's about that. So this is my URL, but this is my actual IP, okay? And it is running on this particular port number. Now, so this is about general. Then we have response header. So here in the word you can see response means there are some application where you might get the data from API in the response directly, where over here, like here you can see the response. Okay. But application where security is the first concern, there they might not send the data in the response. They might send the data in response header also. So response header is a thing where API from API, they can send some data in the headers. Okay. So that data you can see in the response header section, this. Okay. Now, second part is request header. Request header means whatever the data we are sending when we are making the API call from our application to the server. Okay. Means applications like what type of data you are sending, our language, cache control is on or not, our host name, okay, origin, 4200, this is our origin, right? So many things, Windows, from where we are hitting the application, Windows, okay. Then our, what do we say, browser specific, same thing. So everything means our thing. You are calling API from your machine. So whatever the details, whatever the properties you are passing in the header, when your request is going, you can pass some header also. So those who have seen JWT token authentication video, so they might understand. So in the header, we can pass the data also, right? So token we normally pass over here. So token, let's say authorization, then bearer, and we read the local storage data token and we pass it over here. So we can create our own headers also. In Angular, we create that by using interceptor. But in JavaScript also, we can create new headers and you can pass key value pair data. Now, where do we use headers normally? Let's say you are working on a banking application. So in banking application, everything should be very standardized. You cannot pass the data in the, let's say you are, let me just create a new question. Let's see the post API, then you will understand. So this is the post API. Let's select HTML. Let's select basic part 2 subtopic. Let's add a question, demo question. Let's add an answer. Okay. Now on click of save, you will be able to see the post API call. Okay. Now let's open this. So once previously you see, we just had to, this payload was not there. Okay. But now this is a post API. So in case of post API need two parameter, URL and the object. So when in case of post API and the put API, you will get payload. Another tab will be there, that is payload. So payload means you are hitting this API, add language question. This is the post API. So with post API, you need to send the object, right? So whenever you are communicating with API team, like they might provide you the API. They will test on the Swagger or on the Postman, they will test it. Then they will share you the URL. Then you integrate that API. But sometimes what happens, they won't specify like what property is mandatory, or let's say question is there and what maximum characters you can send in this field. They won't tell you anything, right? But let's say you are not passing the required character. Let's say at least 10 to 15 characters are required and you are not passing that. Then sometimes you will get 400. So that is invalid something, right? So this is the API and this API needs this particular object with this particular rules and regulations. So if you don't provide the proper object, you will get some error. Okay. Um, yeah, payload field. Okay. So this is the payload. What is the form? Whatever the form you have created, on click of save, you get that object and you send it with the post API. So that object you will be able to see it over here. Now, in applications, let's say banking or let's say trading applications are there. Okay, then share market applications are there where security is the first concern. Okay, security is the first concern. Now, let's say you are working on a kind of this application, either banking or share market, and you are trying to create a form, and on click of save, you need to hit any API. So the disadvantage of web application is like we can open the console and we can see all the API calls going and whatever the data I'm sending, whatever the data I'm receiving, all I can see. First of all, in this kind of application, they will implement encryption. Okay. While sending the data also, you need to encrypt it. So even though you send the data in payload, you won't be able to see this kind of thing. It will be encrypted. Okay. So you won't be able to, because unless you know the key, you won't be able to decipher it also, right? So first thing, they will encrypt that. So even though, let's say someone try to see like what object they are sending, they won't be able to, they will be able to see it, but they won't be able to understand it, like what is it, because it might be encrypted. And the response you will be getting, that too also will come in the encrypted format only. So here it is just the normal response. But if your APIs are like that, they will encrypt that. Whatever the encryption you are using, they will also use the same, because in the front end and in the back end, in both the side, you will need the same algorithm. Then only you will be able to decipher that data, correct? If you are using crypto.js on the Angular side, and over there you are using the hash algorithm, so obviously it won't work, because keys will be different, algorithms are different, so you cannot convert the data. So client side and the backend side, those who have worked on the .NET kind of application, so hash algorithm is there, which is suitable in Angular also and in the .NET also. Okay. So in client side and then the server side, both places you need the same algorithm to encryption, to use the encryption and the decryption. So one way is you can pass the data over here. Another way is some kind of application is there where though they won't send the data in the payload. They will send this object in the header also. Okay. Instead of sending the object in the normal way, that is payload, they will send the data in the header. Like we pass the token now. So till now you might be know like the header we use just to send the token. No, there are so many use cases where we have to send the token. This application type also. So many APIs are there. We need to pass the text data, file data. So you need to send this content type also while hitting the API for specific. If you are uploading the API, so application slash JSON content type won't work. Okay. So you need to change this also. And whatever the form data you are passing, this form data, you can pass it over here also in headers also. Okay. So payload is what we are sending. And in preview and response, this is nothing but same. In preview, you will get to see the proper format data. In response, you will get the string format. That's it. And in initiator, you will get like from where you have actually, this is the API call, but from where it actually triggered. So you will get to see all the, see from HTML line number 5, then HTML line number 36, then finally interview question dot 89 line number. If I click it over here, you will get to see the API call. Okay. I will come to this, how we analyze this in backtracking. Then timing, like how much time it has taken. Okay. How much content it has downloaded, all things you can see it over here. Okay. So basically like, and course error majorly. When do you face course error? First, API whitelisting. So whenever we API developer develop the API, they will restrict some port only. On that, if request comes from that port, then only they will provide the response. Okay, that is basically majorly course error will come. But if your URL is also incorrect, then also you will get the course error. It's not just whitelisting. If URL is also wrong now, you will sometimes get course error, or you will get 500 also. So it based on the API. Like if in API application course is installed, and if you are passing the wrong URL, up till controller is correct, but method name you are sending is something wrong, then you will get course error. But if your controller name as in, this is my controller name, interview, and this is my method name. If controller name is correct, but this method name is something different, is wrong, so you will get course error. So it's not like if you are hitting the API from different uh, port, you might be getting the course error. In case of incorrect URL also, you will end up in the course error. Okay. And one more thing, like, so while working in an actual project now, API team is separate, UI team is separate, QA team is separate. Whenever application is starting for the first time, let's say it's a new project. So in the initial days, when API team will develop, they will release the API and they will put it on some environment, dev environment or any environment, right? And then they will provide you the instance of that API. And then you start integrating those API and you get the course error. Okay. Then you will tell the API team like, no, I'm getting the course error, URL is correct, I'm sending the correct parameters or something. Still, I'm getting the course error. Now, API developer, they where they test, they will test on the Swagger or the Postman. So if you hit the API on the Postman, you won't get the course error. Okay. But if you hit the application from our web application, you will get the course error because from one application, you are trying to access the resource of another application. There you will get the course error. So what they will do, they will test application, they will test their API on the Postman and they will say, no, API is working fine. So if there are so many confusion like, no, course error is from client side. No, course error is always from the backend side only. It is not from the UI side. It is always from the backend side. You need to tell them like, you need to enable my port number so that I can access that API. Okay. So course error will be handled from API side. Means it not handle. They have to implement the course policy and they need to put out the some port number so that we can run our application on that port number. Then only we will be able to access it. Okay. So this is regarding API call. What was the next? Network tab also, browser tab also. Okay. Now backtracking. So for backtracking, I have created a example because backtracking needs a proper example. So I tried to do the same. So just pay attention over here. This is a language dropdown. If I select the language, let's say JS interview, so you can see questions are getting changed. Okay. Now, same, whatever the language name I have over here, same language name are available over here also. Again, if I click on React.js over here, again, it is loading. Okay. So there are two places, either from here, this is in my home component. Let me show you. So this dropdown is my home component. Okay. See, and this question count is coming from another component, app question count. So from two different component, I'm trying to change the language. Okay. Now in actual project, let's say I will inform about my last project. Okay. So it was an insurance project. We just had a one form in our application and the list. That's it. Okay. Just one form and list and the detail mode. Just 3 to 4 form were there. But in that single form, we had around 250 elements, means form element. 250 form elements. So obviously we had tab just to separate out the data. So let's say if I change one drop down now, based on that drop down value, around 50 field validations or some things might get hide and show. Getting it? Let's say you are having 250 field in a form. Okay. And one drop down, if one drop down change, 50 fields, rules and regulation is getting changed. Some fields are getting hidden, some fields are getting shown based on the drop down value. Just an example for the drop down. Let's say you have a checkbox on click up. If the checkbox is checked, you get some fields visible. If your checkbox is get unchecked, you get some field unable. Okay. So when you are actually working on that kind of application, then only you will face these issues. That's why I'm taking this, because I know when your career is around 3 to 4 years of experience, ultimately you are going to work on this kind of application. Even though you have not worked on this kind of application where you have so many elements, you won't be facing that issue. But trust me, someday after you are ultimately going to face that. Okay. Now, imagine a scenario, you have joined just a company. Okay. And that project is already running and you have just joined now. You must have you must have got the KT and they might have explained the project also. But once let's say a standard process, whenever a new joiner comes, they will provide the KT, they will explain him anything, videos are there, whatever KT material is there, they will provide you. They will in the new project, normally in a proper project or in a proper IT company, they will start with you a defect. So initially what they will try to, they will assign you the defect. So when you are working on the defect, to start working on the defect on any project, what happens is like you start to, because KT is something else. Unless you worked on anything or unless you debug anything, you won't get the idea like how project is behaving. Okay. So let's say you get assigned to a defect and they want to just consider this scenario, like these questions are getting rendered based on two input, from over here also and from over here also. Now you are not sure, like you are sure like from once you change the drop down, the questions are getting changed. But you are not aware about this also. Like on this change also, on this click of this question also, these questions are getting changed. So how do you analyze, right? Because unless someone told you, like whoever has written this function, they won't tell you, right? You need to identify that. So let's go to home component now. Let me just close. Okay. So now home.component.html. Now, where is the question? Wait. Okay. So like first, this is question, like you need to inspect it and you need to see like from where this is coming. So see, this question box is coming from app question card. Okay. Now this app question card is in which component? So you just scroll up and see app home component. So you need to go to that particular component. Okay. So in home component, you can see this is the app question card component. So what we are passing? Question list. So this is the variable we are passing. So ng4 is there. So in ng4, we are rendering the question cards. This is a reusable component and we are passing the question data. So now this is the variable which is responsible to show the question. Now we have to see this, like from where we are getting the data to this variable. Let's go to .ts. Let's search it. Control F, Control V. Okay. Now, how do you check it? Like from where you are going to get the data? Simply is like we use the equal to operator. So see, on topic change also you are going to get the question. Let's add a debugger over here also. Then get question by language. Over here also we have it. And over here also. So see, in this component only, there are three places from where I'm going to get the data for in this variable. Okay. One more thing is there. Here also it is there on search also. Okay. So see, around 5 places are there where I'm going to assign the data to that variable. Okay. Now you need to properly understand from in how many scenarios or from where I'm going to get the data. Okay. So now I'm just going to click on the question count. Okay. From here, let's say if I click on JavaScript. So first is like, this is debugger in the interview service. Let's continue. Now in the home component where we have got the subscriber, see this dot service dot selected language subscribe. Now you need to see like this selected language from where this is subject or behavior subject. See here it is written behavior subject. Now you need to see from where this subject got triggered, means from where on click of it, where actually this subject was got triggered, where is the next action of it. So now here currently you can see we are in the line number 88 in the home function in the subscribe of this subject. Now you need to see from where this subject got triggered. Okay. So now you can just scroll down over here and you can see call stack is there. So call stack means you can backtrack, means from this behavior subject, from where is this behavior subject actually got triggered. So you can see currently we are in home component line number 88. This is the current execution context. Okay. See, now from where this got triggered. So see, before that, set selected language. That is from interview service from over here. Okay. From this function, this subject behavior got executed. We have emitted the value, language ID, whatever we got. Then again, we need to check like from where this function got called. Again, go to call stack and see on language select here. Okay. Now this on language select where this is the normal function from question count component. So this might be triggered from some event, right? So that also you can see. See over here, last, that is from over here, line number 5. So on click of this li, we have called this function. While calling, we are passing the language ID. Then it will go to that particular question component. From here, we get the language ID that we are passing to this function from our service. Now it will go to this. And here we will get the language ID. And then we are emitting the behavior with this language ID. And once we emit the behavior, once we provide the value to this subject behavior, wherever we are subscribing this behavior, that will trigger. So likewise, over here, this subscribe got triggered. So this is nothing but backtracking. So this comes very handy when you are actually working on a big project and one value will get changed from multiple places and you are not sure like from where this, from how many places this value is going to change. So you need to, before doing any change, you need to make sure like you are not disturbing the existing flow also. So you need to make sure like from where you are calling this function, how many times this function is getting called, right? So in that case, you need to do like this. So this is backtracking. Backtracking as in from just going back from where that function actually got called. Okay. So in the call stack, you actually can see like from where this function was exactly called. Okay. So this is backtracking. Let me just. So this is kind of new thing. You can unmute. Anyone has any question regarding this? You can quickly ask, then we can move ahead. Anyone has any question regarding call stack?
Sir, can you show once again from where this menu called, like call stack?
See, now I'm clicking on HTML. Okay. Actually, I have added a debugger, I think, everywhere. Okay. So currently see where we are in the home component in the subscribe of this behavior subject. Okay. So from somewhere this behavior subject might have triggered the observable, right? So that's why this subscribe got executed. Now we need to see from where actually this observable behavior subject got triggered. Okay. So we can go in the back history, like from where this function got called, from where that function got called, ultimately from somewhere in the from the HTML function might be triggered. So we can go back in the history, like this subscribe got executed. But why this subscribe got executed? Because see over here in the call stack, in the selected language, you can see we have used the next operator. We are emitting the value in this behavior. That's why we got the subscribe got executed. But from where this function got called? See, this is a normal function. So this function might be called from somewhere. Na? So that also we can see the previous call on language select, that is from question card component. Now this function, from where we have called this function? From the HTML, normal event listener. See, so you can reach to the starting point of your event execution. First place where your event got triggered. Got it? It's just like going in the history from where you have function got executed. Understood?
Yeah, right, sir. Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else has any question? This is very useful when you are debugging, when you are new. If project is if you have joined and project is from the scratch, then you are obviously aware about all the things. But let's say you have joined the company and the project is from 2 to 3 years back. So in that scenario, it's very hard to work on the project if you don't know this skill. Like how do you debug? Because there are so many applications. Just like just a second. Huh? So see, one of my project was there, Virgin Media. Okay. Now, so in India, we normally have Geo, right? So that is the largest internet and mobile code. Okay. Let me exhibition on. So this application is developed in Angular. Okay. So it looks like very easy. It's a normal HTML website. Okay. But if you see, let me just try to show you. I also don't remember now. So many things have changed. Let me just inspect this. So see, this is means the starting letter they have we have got app dot, but we can change it also. So this is like this component. So many reusable components and library projects are in this project. So the sum of the task I got, like you just need to change a label of this. So by looking it, looks like it's very easy. But just to reach out to this label, like from where this label is coming, I took around 3 days just to check from where this label is coming. Okay. Because it's not an HTML page. The label was coming from your asset file. Because help and support, this same, what I did, I thought like help and support might be only once in a whole application. So I tried to search this help and support. I got around 17 to 18 references in the constant file. Then I again get to know like we cannot be sure, right? So and again, like every places wherever, by because if you see this, if we inspect directly, we get to see this component, right? We will see like, yeah, this component, this is the component where we are actually we have to actually change the label. But this component also get called from multiple places, that too according to different, what do we say, regions. These components are developed like from where you are hitting this website, from which region you are hitting this website. Just like that, component also get proper data according to the region, because multiple languages are also there. Okay. So just to change this label, I took 3 days, because it was coming from a constant file, and just to locate that constant file, I took 3 days. So this kind of applications are there. So in that, if you know how you debug, okay, then only you will be able to properly understand, and you will be, because I got around 2 weeks for the same ticket just to change the label. In that ticket I got 2 days, 2 weeks, but I got it in the 3 days. But again for PR approval and everything, again it took 4 to 5 days. Then my ticket got successfully delivered to the dev environment. Then again, after next 2 months, it got published into the production environment. So when you worked on this kind of application, these are the various flows. This kind of complexity will be there. So in your bucket, you should be having these shortcuts, debugging skill, so that your work will be you can carry out your work, because no one is going to help you, or no one is going to, because they also not sure like from where that label is going. They are also going to do the same thing, even though they are from the project from last 1 year. They won't be able to understand, because project is very vast. Around 18 to 19 projects were there. Micro front end architecture was there. Around 18 to 19 projects were there. Some of them were shared library projects, some of them for different application services. One service is in another project, and we were using that service in another project. So how you will understand? So many things are there. So these are the debugging skill which will help if you know, if you are going to work on this kind of application. Okay. Now that was with backtracking.
Hi, Chet.
Yeah.
Hi, Chetan sir. Can I
Yeah.
ask one question?
Yeah.
Like earlier, I had a project which was in JSP and the backend was in Java Spring MVC.
Okay.
So I want to convert it to Angular and Java Spring Boot. So you think, can you suggest, is it a good idea? Because I have to integrate different databases. Like I have to get data from database post GRE,
Hmm.
and I have to update in the database post GRE.
Yeah, see, nowadays, like so many legacy applications are there, where applications were created either in Java, where UI was also in the Java, or in the .NET also, right? So now technology is changing. So whatever the legacy application were there, which are running properly, but after some days, developer might not be there who will work on that technology, right? So every company will try to be in the market, right? So whatever the legacy application you have, they will convert it into the new framework. So obviously, you database will be common. You are not going to change the database. So you will create the API in Java, right? Then Angular you can do.
Mm.
In normal application, we do like that only. One project was there. Let me just show you mfg.com. So mfg.com is a manufacturing industry platform where and the competitor is Alibaba only now. First Alibaba is there, and then MFG is there. So it's majorly used for the manufacturing industry. Let's say even NASA use this tool. Let's say you need to create a part. Okay, some device or some part you need to create. So what you do, you create a quotation on this portal. Then companies who manufacture that part, they will quote, they will bid on that quotation. So this is the, that was the idea. So this application was in Java. Okay, whatever the tools you mentioned, like the old one, JSP will be there, database. Okay, then we had to convert this into the latest technology. So front end, we decided Angular. There at that time, Angular 6 was there new. So we started with Angular, and database was the same. Okay, and the normal Spring Hibernate API was there. So we normally follow that process. We create the API project because database is going to be same. We create the Angular project separate, and database API project will be separate. Got it?
Okay. And so, sir,
Yeah.
and when to use flex layout and when to use grid layout?
Uh,
I
that is not that much hard. It's based, both are same. Based on which CSS framework you are using, you can use it. Okay.
like I have shared
Bootstrap or material,
my
whatever you are
paper.
using, Tailwind. Okay. So if you're using Prime, they have Flex. They don't have proper
I have
grid. If you're using Bootstrap, they will have proper grid structure.
I have
Sir, I
shared
have
my picture.
Yeah. Go ahead.
hello.
Yeah.
Sir, I have shared my picture. Can you suggest which framework would be good?
Uh,
CS.
yeah. So I will check later. Okay. Just let me just complete this first.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi sir.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm facing one issue in my project regarding means I need a help for the debugging part.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I creating one toggle button in post login,
Mm-hmm.
and particularly on that toggle button, I
Mm-hmm.
redirecting the URLs to the both means
Your voice is gone.
that you are button the URL was changed based on two URLs. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
right. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Repeat.
Means it's a citizen and investor. If I
Mm-hmm.
click on citizen toggle button, and yes, it's the toggle button sides on the citizen side and the investor side.
Mm-hmm.
So if the toggle button is in investor side, so the
Mm-hmm.
page, the URL we are seeing that the investor. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and if I log out and again log in,
Mm-hmm.
then the I set the by default URL is the citizen page.
Mm-hmm.
But after login now the condition means it's showing the same status, means that it's not by default it's not changing the toggle button. So how can means I am adding the
See,
events based on the
you
certain
have
condition I am executing that,
yeah,
so
yeah.
how can I debug that?
You have a toggle button. Let's say view A is there
Yes.
and view B is there. Okay.
Hmm.
Let's say before logout, you were in view A. Okay.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
once you log in, you should be in the view A only. Correct? Whatever the
Yes.
view you were
Correct.
logged in, you should be logged into that. Not, let's say you set let's say you before log up you were in the view B, but by
Hmm.
default it is view A. So once you log in,
Yes.
it is again going to view A, but you should land
Yes.
it to the view B. That is your
Yeah.
requirement.
Means yes. Means the
Whatever the
toggle button is
previously,
from.
whatever previous you were there, you should log into that only. Correct?
Yes. Yes. Correct.
See, first of all, like uh, in this kind of scenario, same like pagination is also there. Someone
Hmm.
might have faced the question like, let's say pagination record is there, you have got some searching, okay, and
Okay.
if you go to the next page and again if you sorry, pagination is there, you are in the second page. Okay, this is an intro question. A table is there where you have the pagination and everything, you are on the second page, and once you open any record you are navigating to the another page. Okay, and again if you
Okay.
are coming back to page, on which page you should be? You're getting everyone getting? Let's say you have a table, in that below that table you have a pagination also, and you are on the second page now, and on the second page you open a record and you navigated to the different page. Okay, route got changed, and again if you are coming back to
Hmm.
the same list page, where you should land, on which page number you should land?
Second page.
First
Second page
page.
you should land. No, no, second page you should land. because you navigated from second page to there. Now, why user will again go to the first page, then again he will filter it out and again he will land to that particular record. From what
Correct.
was the view, there he should redirect. Na? Okay. So
Yes.
in this scenario, you are also and this also. Logic is like, if you have scenarios like this, when you are moving back to the different page, you should store something in the local storage, local or somewhere. In your case, like what was the previous view selected? Either you can store in the local storage, session storage, cookie, anywhere else. Because how you will know, na? Like what was the previous view where user was. Correct? So you
Correct.
need to store that value. And on the page load, same over here also, you will store the whatever the object we have, na, pagination object, page object in the local storage. And on the page load, what you will do, you need to check if you have that value in storage, then you will change the logic like that. Let's say in the page load, in the paging object, you have got third page. So what you will do, you will call your get all API with the third page. So you will land on the third page wherever user was there. But if it is not there, then the default page one will be there. Same like that in your case also, you need to store it. Before logging off, you need to store like what was the view selected. So that after login, you will be writing the code like this. If in the local storage you have the view, like previous view, then you will make that selected instead of default. Got it?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sir, say one real-time example in legacy.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah, this is a real-time application in normal application because there is no alternate way to handle this. We have to store the whatever the previous data was there into local storage, session storage, cookies. Somewhere we need to store. Then only we will retain the previous view. Okay. So interviewer might argue you like, no, this is not the right scenario, but there is no alternative way because we cannot store this kind of data into database. That is just a waste of data. No? It's like browser specific, user preference specific data is there. Why to store this on the database, right? So this should be stored in your browser level only. Okay. Now, so Angular component debugging on console. Now this is something related to Angular only. Okay. And this is very beneficial. So just pay attention. So currently my application is running on local. Okay. Now, let's say someone asks you to check like from where this component is there. Okay. So you need to check like this label from now it's a very small component. So here only you can see like this label is this H2 is coming from this component. But let's say UI is very weak. And mostly this scenario will occur if you are most of the companies are like having VM. Okay. So those guys who are working in the VM, they might know like VM will work very slow. So to debug, it's very hard thing to debug because VM will work slow. You need to debug it like scrolling. This is a normal environment, so you can easily scroll and it is scrolling also. But in when you are working in the VM now, if you scroll, it will take some time. Okay. So you need to be patient also. So in that scenario, you cannot waste your time doing like this and like, okay, because it's already slow. So you have to perform step very carefully. So now in Angular CLI, we get something which is already there. Now let me explain that. So ng, if you are in your local system, we have Angular CLI installed. So in console also, you can type ng, okay, dot. So see, once I write ng dot, you get some methods already applied. Getting it? Now I need to check. Let's just select this first. Okay, currently this element is selected as 2. Now I need to see like this element is from which component. So ng dot get, where it is, get owing component. Okay, this is the method. And what we need to pass? $0. Enter. So you can see what we have got, question card component. So this element which I have selected is from question card component. Getting it? So what is this? Anyone was aware about this? I also figured it out recently. Anyone was aware about this?
No, sir.
Okay. So this is nothing but we have got an instance of that component. See, if I expand that on card click question, see, this is a variable. This is the data I'm having. This is an output. Let me show you the question card component. Question card component. So see, in this function, we have this output and we have this variable. So that same thing you can see it over here. Only two variables were there, question and the one output that is event. And what data I'm getting in that question also, that also I can see. So again, I repeat the same thing. Like if you are working in this kind of application, Virgin Media or something, where so many components are there. Okay. So there, by just checking the HTML and going over here, it is not an easy task when you are working with the VM. It's not very easy to just scroll up and check the parent component. Okay. So in that case, these are the things which comes very handy. Okay. Then ng dot get component is also there. Now here, first method which I have used, get owing component. Now here, if I'm passing $0, I will get null. Why I might be getting dot null over here? And here get with this method, I'm getting the particular component. And with this method, I'm getting null over here. What might be wrong? Anyone?
This element is not selected.
Right. So see, currently we have selected this element. So this is not a component. Now, what is the method we have used? Get component. But what is the element we have selected? H2. H2 is not an element. But now if I select this, and again, if I try this, so now you can see we got the object of that particular component. So this is, let me just write the ng dot get component round bracket. So what it needs? Element. If you are trying to get the access of component, you need the component to be selected over here. Okay. Got it? Then we have so many like get a current context also you can get $0. Okay. Currently where we are in context. Everyone is clear about context. Like what is context? In JavaScript also we normally take the word context. What is context? See, we are getting ng for over here. Let me just show you. Currently I have selected this. Okay. So I'm getting ng for context. So why I might be getting ng for context over here? Anyone? Okay. Now see. Currently we have selected this question card selector. Where it is this? In the see. This is in the ng for. You can see this is repeating. Now this is in the row. So this is also coming from home component, section, fixed element. Let me show you the fixed element. Okay. So now inside that, this is the component. So where I am inside the for loop, getting it? So that's why when you try to get the context, you are in the for loop. So you will get the context of that for loop. So this is the context. Means where whatever the element you have selected, that element is in which context. Now, if I select this particular app home, let's try that, or let's select this div. Let's try. What is the context we are getting? Home component. But this was also under the home component only, na? Or let's show you this drop down. Okay. Now this option I will check. Now, if I select this option and I will check context, it's not selected. Let's try select. It's pointing to the home component only. So you are getting context as in because this div are under the for loop. Okay. So that's why whenever we talk about the context, it will, this question, the question like for instance variable question. So this is the unique something which is revolving, right? So this is like for loop context. Okay, so whenever we try to get the context, if it is in the directly home component, it will land it over there. If it is inside the for loop and you are passing a new component to that to load, but that context will be ng for context. So that's why when we select this, okay, so we get the ng for. Okay, so ng context is there, then ng dot host element get directive. So if we are using directive, what is the host element, that also you can see. Listener, so click element, whatever the event functions we have, that also we can check. Injectors, we are injector when in case of service, right? So dependencies from injectable, like this service is available all over the application or any root specific, that also we can see. But that needs proper application, then only this method will work. Okay. So whatever you know, the one more thing, like in Angular debugging, after 4 to 5 years of experience, everyone will try to ask you this question, like, are you aware about this also? So make sure like we can get that instance of component by using ng in console also. Okay. One more, like this, we have a Chrome extension. Chrome extension. Okay. Now in this Chrome extension, you need to search Angular dev tool. Okay. Angular dev tool. So this is the first one, which is maintained by Google. Okay. You need to install this Angular dev tool. So now advantage of this extension is I have already installed it. Okay. So once you open the developer console, at the end, you get Angular tab. See, now if I click it over here, now it is generating the overview of the application. Let it load some for some time. Let's see. Let's reload. Okay. Now see, I get the whole application. See, app root, then home component. See, wherever I'm selecting that parts will get highlight. App root, anchor tag. Able to see? Then app home, div, select. Okay. Now let me select this app question component selector. If I select this, you can see in that component, what are the services you have injected? Interview service I have injected. What are the inputs you have? And that input value also. See, whatever the input value, that very input is there in my app question component, question count component. Let me show you this question count. So see, in this component, I have just one input, that is question count list. So that you can see what is the data I'm holding, that also you can see it over here. Getting it? Again, local properties, loader variable is there, service instance, whatever you can see from your component, that whole thing you can see from over here also. Okay. See each element. Getting it? So this is also very helpful. You can just check the data, like which component is holding which data, references, what services, which dependency injection it is using, everything you can see it from over here. Okay. So this dev to, because in most of the project, this will be in proper company, we don't install software, right? This will be already there. So in almost proper enterprise application, this Chrome extension, everything will be by default there, because you need to sometimes, I don't know, like you have worked on this kind of application, just talking about this Virgin Media, to run this application, if you just change something and to run this application again, it was taking almost 10 to 15 minutes. Once you save and it start compiling, because there are so many projects. So once you do the change to one application, respective references also get reinitialized again. So around 10 minutes it will take to rerun the application. So is it possible that you will just save something and again you will check? If you do something and again you will check, really not possible. So in that kind of scenario, if you just to analyze like which component is having which data, so then this Chrome extension will be more helpful. Either you can use this or you can get the instance by using ng dot over here. There are projects which will take 20 or 30 minutes also to run. So in those kind of project, you cannot just add a debugger in the code and see like what data you are getting or something. Okay. And which component is having which input and what are the inputs they have. It's not very easy. But if you are running the application from using the console only, you can do everything. Okay. Clear, everyone? Got any question?
And like
Yeah.
now in Angular from Angular 17, we don't have Angular like app.module.ts.
Yeah.
Instead, we have to add like all the modules. Because if you're using Angular material, you have to add it in every component.
Yeah.
So what do you say? Like, is it good approach to add and again
See, what you can do,
or
I'm going to create a video on that, because let's we talk about forms module. Then if you are working on a material module, mat input, mat button, these modules are like in every component you are going to use. So importing in every component, it's like repetitive thing, correct? That's not good, because same thing, import statement, and you are passing that in the import. In every component, same thing will be there. So instead of that, you can create an index file, index.ts. You can import that over there. And then that import statement, you can add it into a component. Common import, whatever the common import that is available in all the component, you can create an simple module file. And then that module file, you can import it in your all the component. So you don't have to do importing in each component. Got it? This is not from Angular, so it is there from very previous version also. You just have to create a module file. Whatever the common module imports are there, you import that into your common module file, and then import that module file into your component. Got it?
So this we also got another file called app.config.ts. So can also import our like modules there?
No. App.config doesn't have the
like app.
position. No, we cannot pass the module. It just have the provider. Some dependency injection only you can provide. That's what I said. Now you need to create a specific module, and you can, whatever we used to do in the app module, in the common area section, that you can do it over here, and then you can use this in all the component. Got it?
Okay.
Sir, we can do this through a shared module also, na?
Yeah, that is nothing but shared module. But shared module will now from Angular 17, shared module concept is actually not there. Why? Why shared module concept is not there from Angular 17?
Because they import every components.
No, because all components are standalone, na? All components are standalone. So it doesn't matter if you put it in a shared module or where. Wherever you are going to use it, you need to import the component as well. So that's why shared module concept is not actually there now, because all the components are standalone. It is not available globally. Okay. Previous application, share module was the concept for handling this kind of scenario. Okay.
Okay, sir. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So with the standalone components, I actually try using an Angular material that accepts two dates selector, that's date speakers. And then I'm actually supposed to use it in one particular component, but it's actually asking me to actually, declare it globally in the angular.json inside. And then the styling actually affects all the components that I actually created, and then have their own specific styling to them. So I want to ask if I can actually make that particular Angular material just specific to that particular components I want to implement it over there, because it's actually affecting all the
So Oliver, see,
products. That's
let's say if we talk about this question card component, okay, where I have created a reusable component for this question card. So let's say you have some particular CSS which is going to be used for this component only. Doesn't matter it is standalone or the normal component also. If you are going to need the CSS, which is going to be used in this particular component, so you put that CSS into this component only. How it is going to affect another component? Is it affecting another component?
Yeah, because it's actually Angular material. It's a date speaker. So I'm actually using
No,
the
so you
Angular
must have,
material which
you are
it's
you are overriding some Angular material CSS, whatever the CSS they have. You are overriding in that particular component.
yes, it's actually overriding the
Yeah. So
Tailwind
if you are
CSS I'm using. Yeah.
overriding, if you are overriding, so obviously if you override particular CSS into one component and after that you navigate to another component, that overrided CSS will be present in the DOM. So in another component also that same overrided CSS will get applied. So for that we have that, what do we call, encapsulation. Okay, so in encapsulation you to provide, what do we provide it over here? Anyone aware about that? Encapsulation dot none you can pass. So now what will happen? Whatever the CSS you override in this component will be limited to this component only. It won't disturb the another component. Just see this encapsulation.
Okay. Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And use diff. While overriding, use ngdiff or host so that it won't disturb the other component. Okay?
All
Or
right.
you
Sure.
need to override that now. So what we normally do, let's say this is a some reusable mat component. So what we do, parent element, add one class. Let's say question li. Consider this is an mat component and you need to override some CSS from this. So just add a parent, just add a unique class to the parent component, parent element, and then you override by using that, like this, then li. So now this class is not going to be present in another component, right? So now this is very limited to this component. Wherever we have this class, then only this CSS will apply. Understood? This is also another way. If you directly override the any component CSS, obviously it is going to affect in another component as well. But if you provide something unique, then it will be limited to that particular component. Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Next.
one more question.
Yeah.
That, while deploying the Angular project and Java Spring project, like how does it happen? Like here in Java Spring Indian project, we used to generate a bar file and just upload it on server and the application used to run.
In Angular,
How
we
does it
take out the
happen
build.
with Angular?
Oh, we have to generate the build by using command. ng build command is there. Then build will generate, and in
That's
the
for
dist
Angular.
folder, we will get this dist build, and this we will deploy to the server. Just like you deploy the jar file, just like that, you need to deploy this dist folder over there in server.
But that is only for Angular, right? Like for the front end part.
Yeah. See, your API will be hosted on another domain, and your Angular application will be hosted on another domain. It's not on the same server. At least subdomain will be there. You cannot host API and the Angular on a same, what do we say, server. You need to have separate. Got it? Previously used to happen that where UI was also there and backend was also there. But now these are two different technologies, correct? So we have to separate it out. You have to deploy it separately. We can deploy it together also, but somehow it will result into some complication. So that's why it's better to have separate server for both of them. Got it?
Can we deploy it on different ports?
Yeah. Different port also you can deploy.
Like,
but no,
Angular on one
port is something not that. At least let's say, see, this is like one application. Okay, this is production. Let's say you need to deploy the application of that. So what you will do? API dot something, correct? So this is the subdomain you will create. On this subdomain, you will have API. And on the main domain, you will have your front-end application. Deploying it on the another port doesn't work. You need to have a separate subdomain or separate environment for that. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Fine. So the last part was null check and the undefined check. So now while working, you might have seen like you get the error like dot is undefined or something. So to handle those undefined and everything, what you do in HTML first. So let's say in this question card component, this is the object. Okay. Language list. Okay. Now let's say language list, we have initialized that with empty error, but while passing the data from some parent component, we got this null or undefined. And if you use this over here directly, so you will get the error because you cannot read something from the undefined. So while in that case, you add a question mark over here, let's say item dot, whenever you are trying to access the value dot mark. So this is called as a null check, or proper word is also there for this. Anyone aware? We have a proper word for this question mark in Angular. Something is there. Okay, but yeah.
Optional chaining, I think.
Yeah, that is for our understanding, but actually some proper word is also there for this. Okay, so just to check if this, yeah, chaining is also there. So if item is not undefined or not null, then only it will execute the remaining part. Okay, so whenever you are trying to print the data, so you make sure like, let's say we have an object like this, let's say student colon any is equal to curly bracket. Inside that, let's say we have name something, city something, then address. Again inside that we have object, city, pin code, contact number, contact. Again we have inner object, mobile number one, something, mobile number
I
two.
think we said
Something.
ternary operator, right?
Yeah, ternary operator we call it, but in Angular we have something. I will find out.
It's safe navigation operator.
Safe navigation operator, yeah. Okay. So we, for our understanding, we know like this is for null check. This is used in ternary operator, but in Angular, this is called as a safe navigation operator. This question I was got asked in TCS. He was asking safe navigation operator. I said I'm not aware. So he was very focused. Again, one question was there. DSL. DSL. Anyone aware about DSL? What is DSL? DSL. You already know it, but you just don't know that is that. It's like this. Okay, so question mark is called as a safe navigation operator. And this is an HTML file. But in HTML file, this star ng, is it a HTML syntax?
No.
ng4. So then how HTML is understanding this? How Angular is understanding this? So DSL is domain specific language. Okay. So that was the long form. I don't know why he asked that, but some jargons are there. With every technology, we will get some jargons like this. Now, coming back to this. So we have an object like this. We have a student. Inside that parent level, we have two properties. Then in address, then in contact we have. So whenever we work on a bigger project, we will get trail of inner object like this. Okay. So whenever you are printing this object, so safe way is, let's say you are trying to print the mobile number one. Okay. So student dot, then address, right? So now while accessing address, let me just first write completely, then we will add it. Address dot, then we will have contact dot, then mobile number. Okay. This is normal way because we get to see the object, whatever the API response we get, we bind like that. But sometimes what happen, address will be null. So it will break over here. So that's why we add a null check. So if address is not null or undefined, then only it will move forward. Again, for contact also, you can add a null check. So here, like if student, again for student also you can add. So while going down the trail, you should add a null check. Like if it is not null, then only it will check for this. If it is not null, then it will check for this. Again, if it is not null, then only check for this. If you don't add this, and if address is null, it will break your application. Got it? So just like this null check, you should be adding. If you are already joining a proper project, you might be able to see this also. Whenever you raise the PR, make sure if you are accessing object like this, you should add this. Okay. In our project, whenever we raise the PR, if we get this silly mistake again and again, we get pointed out. Okay. Because this is not something the review comment should be there. Na? This is like developer duty. Like he should add a null check. They should not come in a PR review. Correct. So whenever you are, doesn't matter if your TL is that intelligent or something, or your project is not following that, but you should follow that. But because some now or somewhere you are going to face issue because of this. Because if you have 4 years or 5 years of experience and you are not adding a null check, that doesn't look good. How you are sure that you are going to get the data in this or you're in this? You cannot be sure, no? Because data is coming from API. This might not be mandatory. This might not be mandatory. So you won't get it. You might get it null or undefined. So in that case, if you don't add the null check, UI will be break. Okay. So make sure you have a habit while in daily development, you make sure you have a habit of adding null check. Okay.
And NG4 is deprecated in Angular new version, right?
What is deprecated?
NG4.
No, it's not deprecated. It is there. Nothing is deprecated. Whatever you know from Angular 2, it is still there. Okay. But just to use ng4, you need to import the common module. No, that's it. It's not deprecated. Some changes are there. Let's say auth guard. Previously, it was a service file. Interceptor. Previously, it was a service file. Now they are arrow function. Okay. Whatever the code you used to write inside that service file, now you will be writing that into arrow function. That's it. In interceptor, we used to get that intercept method, but now it's an arrow function. Code will be same, just way of writing is got changed little bit. That's it. So Angular 17 and Angular, it's not a new language, but just some new things are there. Major changes like the zone.js is the major change. Okay.
सर
Yeah.
सर एंगुलर जो भी 17 है और 18 है सर, इसमें लेजी लोडिंग का सर अभी तक आपको कोई ऐसा क्लास
हाँ, तो
मिला नहीं,
जैसे लेजी
वो
लोडिंग का
कॉन्सेप्ट है
मैं भी
कि
तो मैं भी वही चेक कर रहा हूँ because see all again I told you na shared module. So all the components are standalone. So it doesn't matter like where that component is there. Wherever you have to use it, you need to import it. So I'm also checking. Once I get to know the proper answer, I will create a video for that.
और एक कॉन्सेप्ट है सर NGRX का,
Yeah,
जो कि
NGRX,
स्टेट मैनेज
I have created a project. I have implemented that also. First, I need to prepare a proper way so that I can explain you because I have learned, I have implemented that because I have that knowledge. But when I'm explaining, I need to provide it in a proper way. So if we do that, then I will take a session for that. Yeah.
ओके सर.
Hello.
Yeah, Rajesh.
Sir, I installed Bootstrap 5 in Angular, but is writing in Angular Bootstrap 4 version codes in any possible or not?
You can use any Bootstrap version. Doesn't matter about Angular version. It's independent.
But it is not working. Is not working, sir. I installed in Bootstrap 5 in Bootstrap in Angular.
In Angular.json, once we install the Bootstrap, over here you need to add the entry. Check if you have added this or not. And in index.html, you should not have any, just like that. Here you can see I have added script.js. In index.html, you should not have anything. Whatever the external CSS, JS you are using, you need to add that in the angular.json file over here. Just check that. If it is not added, you can add it, then it will work. Okay.
I have another doubt. So sometimes it's not working for drop downs also. Why is that reason?
not sure.
Hello.
There might be various scenarios.
Sir, for that you need to install popper.js, sir.
For
Popper.js.
popup.js for what?
Popper for working dropdown, sir. Otherwise, it will not work.
In Angular 15?
No, sir, Bootstrap.
Yeah, in Bootstrap 5, you need to use.
Yes, sir.
No,
Yes,
see,
sir.
this project is with Angular 17, I think. Yeah, 17. I have not installed anything. Only Bootstrap is there. We don't
Sir,
need.
I
See,
mean, with the popper.js, it will work, sir. I think so.
no, see, normal dropdown doesn't have to do anything with the any JS, na. Even though if you don't use Bootstrap, it is going to work, right? Okay, if you are using any external library for dropdown, let's say that select library ng select is there. Inside, in case of that, you need to install the popper.json. Okay, but for normal Bootstrap, I'm not sure. Just adding ng, what is it, form select class will work. So all the project I do now, I just install the Bootstrap. That's it. No extra JS I added. Even though in JS also I don't add the bundle.js unless I have the. Okay, you are talking about the navigation dropdown or this dropdown. If you are asking about this navigation dropdown, then you need Bootstrap min.js. But Popper, I'm also not sure, man.
No, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. Anyone else has any question? Otherwise, we can wind up.
Another question regarding this installation of Bootstrap. Like, will it make difference by installing with Angular CLI and adding in index.html file? Like I generally to make it easy, I generally add import in index.html file in the header section.
No. Not getting your question. Repeat once again. You're talking about index.html file?
Like yeah, so we can also use Bootstrap by adding.
Yeah, you can add it over here also, but that is
the-
not the right way. You can add it over here also, but that is not the right way. You should install that, and in Angular.json, you should provide the dependency external over here. That is the right way. Got it?
By functionality wise, will it affect much?
No,
Or
functionality wise, it won't affect anything. Will work the same if you add the index.html or over here. But this is the standard way. Okay.
Okay.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, Raj.
So I have a doubt. So in backend, I am using a token, JWT token. When token expire, I need to call a sign out function, sir.
Yes.
In Angular, where we need to implement that logic in interceptor or while navigating to
Interceptor only.
No.
I have created a video. You can just go to my channel.
Can you share the links?
Okay. I will post it in the group. Same scenario I have covered.
Okay,
in the .NET API I have created. Once API token expired, again I'm calling the login API and I will get I will hit the refresh API, then I will get the token, new token. Application will work fine. Okay, I will share.
Okay. So I have another.
Yeah.
One last
Go ahead.
Can I have a request?
Yeah.
Yes. Can you please create reusable component like the input buttons and everything?
So many videos. So many videos. Just go to my channel. So many reusable component videos I have created, including reusable component and everything.
Okay, so please, I want to find out if you've actually created a video on interceptors, Angular interceptors, instead of passing the headers to every endpoint that you are hitting to make a request from the backend. You either create, an interceptor that will just, decode and then, request those particular headers and then pass it to the request than adding those headers in all the services. So if I'm calling something from the backend, I need to put those particular headers in in addition with the params before hitting the backend. So I don't know. I try creating an interceptor, but when I implement it and I take off the headers from the endpoints where I'm actually hitting them from, it actually doesn't work. So I wanted to find out if you created any
Can you connect me
video.
tomorrow and you can show me the code, because just by telling I cannot say anything, right? I need to see like why it is not working. Once you create the
So-
interceptor now, you need to add that in the provider section also. Then only that interceptor will work. Okay.
Okay,
So-
because I actually added it in the providers inside the app.config.
Yeah, it should work then. Just add a debugger, see if that interceptor is executing or not. By adding just debugger also, you can see so many things. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
for reusable component, you can just visit my channel. So many reusable component videos I have done. Reusable component has nothing to do with Angular version. You can find any version. Logic will be the same. Reusable alert component, tab component, reusable table component, accordion component. Okay, that show more, show less is also there. Reusable image slider is also there. So many reusable components are there. You can find. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let's stop for today. Thank you all for joining.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.